السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الاعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد ان شاء الله.
عن طريق استبان سوبر محاولة. الله سويسرا هارس سيفيريفيتش لاعب بنفيكا يتقدم لمصلحة سويسرا من الكرة الأولى من التهديد الأول. ممتازة للغاية. الله هنا محاولة عرفان. الله.
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الاعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد ان شاء الله.
الله على الكرة. جول 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 يأتي عن طريق شاكيريا. سويسرا. الله 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 الله.
بيلعب الكرة على القائم الأول والهدف الأول الهدف الأول هنا يأتي عن طريق لاعب أتلانتا ماتيو ميسينا.
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الاعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة.
يا سلام على ايطاليا، لسه بقول لحضراتكم ايطاليا والكرة الايطالية والمتعة الايطالية حاضرة ومستمرة ولما لا.
يتراجع لاعبي المنتخب المقدوني امام المرمى. جول ديباي من ملعب سبورت. لاحظ المنتخب الهولندي. جول من فاينالدو. هولندا تسجل الجول الثاني. حاولت قبل قليل يعني عن الملاقات الكبار. فرصة الثالث لهولندا. فاينالدوم يتألق، ديباي يتألق وفريق.
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الاعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة.
يا سلام على ايطاليا، لسه بقول لحضراتكم ايطاليا والكرة الايطالية والمتعة الايطالية حاضرة ومستمرة ولما لا.
يتراجع لاعبي المنتخب المقدوني امام المرمى. جول ديباي من ملعب سبورت. لاحظ المنتخب الهولندي. جول من فاينالدو. هولندا تسجل الجول الثاني. حاولت قبل قليل يعني عن الملاقات الكبار. فرصة الثالث لهولندا. فاينالدوم يتألق، ديباي يتألق وفريق.
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الاعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد ان شاء الله.
فرانك دي بور يتألق.
يا خامسة ضربة ركنية خامسة في الهدف الأول. جول باوغارتنر يسجل في الخامسة. تقدم المنتخب النمساوي في الأول على طول. لدينا تمرير السنان، تقدم تسديد. الله 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 الله. لا بد من الموسم يوصل الميدان. خاطئة فرصة. جول
تاتي.
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الإعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد إن شاء الله.
دعم لمنتخب الدنمارك وليوسف بولسن اللي يسجل الهدف الثاني. هنا ركلة جزائية، سيوبا جول 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 جول. وخيم الصمت لا 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 ضاعت، لا ضاعت، ولكن الله الدنمارك خطيرة، تصويبة جول. الله
حاول ملعوبة داخل منطقة الجزاء في مايلين.
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الإعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد إن شاء الله.
يأتي الحل عن طريق توماس فيرمايلين يضع كرة في المرمى، وبالتالي تصل إلى الدور القادم. لوكاكو يضرب من جديد ليؤكد بأن الشياطين الحمر جاءوا من لقب هذه البطولة، من أجل لقب هذه البطولة. لوكاكو يسجل الآن ويؤكد مكانته.
خطير جريليش يرفع الكرة خطيرة وجول، رحيم لا يرحم. يا سلام، هيلا من جريليش وهيلا من رحيم وجول. الهدف الأول لإنجلترا، الهدف الثاني لرحيم. ثنائية رحيم للإنجليز في 3 مباريات. انطلق من هنالك الصغير.
يرفع يورانوفيتش وبالراس وخطيرة والجول الأول. جول كرواتي مشاهدينا الكرام. غلطة دفاعية للسفيه من الكرة. الفرصة هنا موجودة والتسديدة جول. التسديدة جول عن طريق اللاعب ماكريغور. قاذفة يمينية، صاروخ من ماكريغور يهزم الحارس ليفاكوفيتش. واحد مقابل واحد. والثاني ممكن والثاني جول. الثاني للساحل مودريتش، الثاني للفنان مودريتش. كما ترى يا مودريتش وكم وراء هدفك يا مودريتش. جول واحلى جول. هذه فنيات المبدع مودريتش. هذه هنا مودريتش يرفع وبالراس وجول.
تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد إن شاء الله.
الله على الكرة. جول يأتي عن طريق جاكيريا. سويسرا. الله
يلعب الكرة على القائم الأول والهدف الأول هنا يأتي عن طريق لاعب أتلانتا ماتيو ميسينا.
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الإعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة.
يا سلام على إيطاليا، لسه بقول لحضراتكم إيطاليا والكرة الإيطالية والمتعة الإيطالية حاضرة ومستمرة، ولما لا
يتراجع لاعبي المنتخب المقدوني أمام المرمى. جول ديباي من ملعب سبورت. لاحظ المنتخب الهولندي. جول من فاينالدو. هولندا تسجل الجول الثاني. حاولت قبل قليل يعني عن الملاقات الكبار. فرصة الثالث لهولندا. فاينالدوم يتألق يتألق، ديباي يتألق، وفريق.
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الاعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة.
يا سلام على ايطاليا، لسه بقول لحضراتكم ايطاليا والكره الايطاليه والمتعه الايطاليه حاضره ومستمره، ولما لا
يتراجع لاعبي المنتخب المقدوني امام المرمى. جول ديباي من ملعب سبورت. لاحظ المنتخب الهولندي. جول من فاينالدو. هولندا تسجل الجول الثاني. حاولت قبل قليل يعني عن الملاقات الكبار. فرصة الثالث لهولندا. فاينالدوم يتألق، ديباي يتألق، وفريق.
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الاعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد إن شاء الله.
فرانك دي بور يتألق.
يا خامسة ضربة ركنية خامسة في الهدف الأول. جول باومغارتنر يسجل في الخامسة. تقدم المنتخب النمساوي بالأول على طول. تمرير السلام، تقدم، تسديد، الله 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 الله. لا بد من الموسم في وسط الميدان. خاطئة، فرصة جول جول جول. هدية روسية،
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الاعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد إن شاء الله.
دعم لمنتخب الدنمارك وليوسف بولسن اللي يسجل الهدف الثاني. هنا ركلة جزائية، سيوبا جول 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 جول. وخيم الصمت لا ضاعت، لا ضاعت، ولكن الله الدنمارك خطيرة، تصويبة جول. الله
حاول ملعوبة داخل منطقة الجزاء في مايلين.
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الاعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد إن شاء الله.
يأتي الحل عن طريق توماس فيرمايلن. يضع كرة في المرمى وبالتالي تصل إلى الدور القادم. لوكاكو يضرب من جديد ليؤكد بأن الشياطين الحمر جاءوا من لقب هذه البطولة، من أجل لقب هذه البطولة. لوكاكو يسجل الآن ويؤكد مكانته.
خطير جريليش يرفع الكرة خطيرة وجول. رحيم الله يرحم، يا سلام. هيلا من جريليش وهيلا من رحيم وجول. الهدف الأول لإنجلترا، الهدف الثاني لرحيم. ثنائية رحيم للإنجليز في 3 مباريات. انطلق من هنالك الصغير.
يرفع يورانوفيتش وبالراس وخطيرة والجول الأول. جول أول كرواتي مشاهدينا الكرام. غلطة دفاعية للسفينة ولكن الفرصة هنا موجودة وتسديدة جول. التسديدة جول عن طريق اللاعب ماكريدور. قذيفة يمينية، صاروخ حاسم الحارس ليفاكوفيتش، واحد مقابل واحد، والثاني ممكن، والثاني جول. الثاني للساحل مودريتش، الثاني للفنان مودريتش. كمن ترى يا مودريتش، وكم وراء هدفك يا مودريتش. جول واحلى جول، هذه فنيات المبدع مودريتش. هذه هنا مودريتش يرفع وبالراس وجول. جول بيريشيتش.
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الإعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد إن شاء الله.
بيريشيتش يضرب بالكو، بيريشيتش والضربة الثانية. بيريشيتش يعبد التاريخ للكروات نحو الدوري القادم. الكروات يقولون بلسان واحد: نحن قادمون، نحن آتون إلى الدورة الثمانية.
قريبة للسويد، لا تزال الله. زلزال السويد يبدأ، ضربات السويد تبدأ، روعة السويد تبدأ. لم تتأخر كثيرا في المباراة، وصلت إلى الهداف السويدي. تقدم مر، تسلل من بينهم. للسويد تصويب الله، مرعبة من جانب السويد، قاضية من جانب السويد، تنهي الحظوظ من جانب السويد. تصويبة عابرة للشباك البولندية، مؤكد الوصول. ليبا يحاول، ليبا الله. من الكبير لا تتوقعوا إلا الحضور الكبير من الكبار. بولندية أمامية، روبرت ليفاندوفسكي. الله على مدينة المتاحف أن تحتفظ بهذا الهدف، بقيمة هذا الهدف، بقيمة هذه اللقطة يا روبرت، يا ليفاندوفسكي. نعم يا سادة، هنا في مدينة الجسور المعلقة. لا مجال للأحداث، حدث كرة القدم، يا الله. جول للسويد، تعبر السويد إلى الدور القادم. وصلت السويد بعد مباراة ماراثونية، قتلت بولندا كرويا. كانت الضربة القاتلة من جانب السويد.
فرصة الأروخة، جول لا غير معقول الذي يهدف. عجز الإسبان على هز الشمال، فعاونهم مارتين دوبروفكا، فساعدهم مارتين دوبروفكا. نعم، الإسبان الذي يسجل، بل الذي سجل هو مارتين، بل الذي ساعد الإسبان هو دوبروفكا. سلوفاكيا بالأرضية عالية، هذه جول. الله على هدف بالغصب في مرمى منتخب سلوفاكيا. نعم، وكأنه بهذه الصورة بعد محاولات مفنية وبعد انطلاقات عديدة. هو إلى جوردي، الباور العرضية، هذه جول. الله، تيكي تاكا، اسبانيا تحيي تيكي تاكا بجديد بالهدف الثالث. نعم، يا سلام بثالث الاهداف. اسبانيا تحيي تيكي تاكا حتى ولو يا سلام، الله، روعة الكرة، روعة.
نوتش عنده مهارات، هذه خطيرة. جول
من هذه الكرة ويفتح رونالدو لوريس، رونالدو جول، رونالدو جول على الجهة اليمنى وبقوة، اختار الزاوية وسدد الجول وسجل الجول. 1-0 للبرتغال للبرتغال بطل اوروبا امام فرنسا بطل العالم، من ركلة جزاء جاءت من كرة واحدة، تمريرة واحدة، لمسة ولا رونالدو، والرد على زميله السابق في الريال بنزيما وروي باتريسيو. كم هو مفيد تعديل النتيجة، كم هو مفيد تسجيل هدف في هذه اللحظات. كريم على الجهة اليمنى من هنالك، بنزيما جول، بنزيما على اليمين يرد على رونالدو مثل ما سجل على يمين الحارس. كريم يفتح عداده في اليورو ويفتح عداده امام البرتغال وامام رونالدو وامام روي باتريسيو من ركلة جزاء مثل ما حدث للبرتغال. كرة خطيرة، ولا تسلل، جول ولا تسلل من كريم بنزيما في اللعبة الماضية. يا لا من تمريرة في منتهى الروعة، يا له من طلب كرة في العمق من كريم بنزيما، هرب من وضع التسلل. جول 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 جول، كريم بنزيما يسجل الثاني ويعقد من مأمورية البرتغال. يا سلام، الفرحة كانت فرحتان، الفرحة ناقصة بالنسبة للمنتخب الفرنسي لأنه عنده تسديد عند تسجيل الهدف، رفع الحكم الراية وبعدها جاءت فرحة ثانية من لعبة في منتهى الروعة. يا سلام، الآخر نعرف الجواب، رونالدو لوريس، رونالدو مع القوة على الجهة اليمنى، قلنا لك يا لوريس، رونالدو يعدل، رونالدو يرد على بنزيما، رونالدو يسجل هدفه الثاني، رونالدو يصبح هداف اليورو، رونالدو يسجل هدفه 109، صام عن التسجيل امام فرنسا وعندما افطر بهدفين من ركلتي جزاء. تركيز كبير عند كريستيانو رونالدو.
إن أعجبك الفيديو لا تنسى الإعجاب والاشتراك في القناة.
نستمر بنشر المزيد إن شاء الله.
فرانك دي بور يتألق،
خامسة ضربة ركنية خامسة في الهدف الأول، جول باوغارتنر يسجل في الخامسة. تقدم المنتخب النمساوي في الأول على طول. لدينا تمرير السنان، تقدم تسديد، الله 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 الله، لا بد من الموسم في وسط الميدان، خاطئة، فرصة جول جول جول، هدية روسية، هدية روسية تاتي.
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الإعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد إن شاء الله.
نعم لمنتخب الدنمارك وليوسف بولسن اللي يسجل الهدف الثاني. هنا ركلة جزائية، سيوبا جول 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 جول، وخيم الصمت، وخيم الصمت. لا 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 ضاعت، لا 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 ضاعت، ولكن الله الدنمارك خطيرة، تصويبة جول، الله 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 الله. محاولة ملعوبة داخل منطقة الجزاء في رمايلينو،
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الإعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد إن شاء الله.
يأتي الحل عن طريق توماس فيرمايلن. توماس فيرمايلن يضع كرة في المرمى وبالتالي تصل إلى كرة القدم لوكاكو. يضرب من جديد ليؤكد بأن الشياطين الحمر جاءوا من لقب هذه البطولة، من أجل لقب هذه البطولة. لوكاكو يسجل الآن ويؤكد مكانته.
خطير جريليش يرفع الكرة خطيرة وجول، خطيرة وجول. رحيم الله يرحم يا سلام، هايلة من جريليش وهايلة من رحيم وجول. الهدف الأول لإنجلترا، الهدف الثاني لرحيم. ثنائية رحيم للإنجليز في 3 مباريات. انطلق من هنالك الصغير.
يرفع يورانوفيتش وبالراس وخطيرة والجول الأول. جول أول كرواتي، جول أول كرواتي. مشاهدينا الكرام، غلطة دفاعية للسفينة من الكرة. الفرصة هنا موجودة والتسديدة جول. التسديدة جول عن طريق اللاعب ماكريغور. قذيفة يمينية، صاروخ من ماكريغور يهزم الحارس ليفاكوفيتش. 1 مقابل 1. والثاني ممكن، الثاني ممكن، والثاني جول. الثاني للساحل مودريتش، الثاني للفنان مودريتش. كمن ترى يا مودريتش وكم وراء هدفك يا مودريتش. جول واحلى جول. هذه فنيات المبدع مودريتش. هذه هنا مودريتش يرفع وبالراس وجول.
A little bit there. I didn't really fancy it when I saw his body shape, to be honest.
Yeah, never coming down, is it? Keeper Sommer goes across and the hand is out, but I think he's always confident in the knowledge that it's going to end up over his crossbar. Looking to round off a good year, isn't he, Koke, after winning the La Liga title once again with Atletico Madrid, and now looking for glory with Spain here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Michael Oliver doesn't give one high boot and then he gives the other, and I think they're a little bit lucky there. No doubt that there was a high boot from Pedri. There's a lot of ambition here from Spain, isn't it, to close Switzerland down, and they're just not letting them any free ball at all. Seferovic comes deep, but then he's robbed of the ball by Laporte. He goes down, and I think the referee's given a free kick this time, but they're putting enough energy into the game at Spain and making this a really difficult ride for Switzerland.
Yeah, it's been high energy, hasn't it? I mean, the temperature over in St. Petersburg today around about 23 degrees. It's not too humid in comparison to some of the venues we've seen where it's been searing hot, really. So I think it's an opportunity for the Spanish players, certainly in this first half, to try and get at Switzerland, win the ball back quickly, get on the front foot as they have done with an opening goal, and really press on and try and get themselves in firm control of this game. They'll have memories of what happened against Croatia. They know all about what Switzerland did against France, so they need to try and make sure that they've got themselves a bit of breathing room and put themselves in a really good position for a semi-final spot.
Ooh, and big mistake there by the goalkeeper for Spain, Unai Simon. Made a mess with the ball, and brilliant bowler now trying to keep that ball alive. Pau Torres battles back with him, but that's going to be a corner kick, and all that good work, and it was all very nearly undone. I didn't really understand quite how they'd made such a mess of that, but I just think it was Simon taking too long on the ball and he got closed down.
Yeah, he made that mistake, didn't he, against Croatia in the previous game, the back pass that ended up going into the back of his own goal when he should have had it cleared, and almost another howler there. You wonder if his confidence has maybe been rocked a little bit by that previous game, and now we've got a bit of concern as well over one of the Swiss players picking up an injury off the field. That's Mbolo as well, and they'll be hoping that he's going to be all right here. He's going to be tended to, I think, as the corner kick is taken, so they look like they'll be down to 10 men before the delivery from Shaqiri comes in.
Yeah, that's right, so he won't be in a hurry to take it, but Mbolo's off the field and he needs to crack on with it, and he got in a tangle there with Laporte, I fancy there, after that mistake by Unai Simon, the Athletic Bilbao keeper. Anyway, one arm in the air for Shaqiri, left-footed, curling in, header away at the near post. Well defended that by Spain, I thought there, did all right. Anyway, Switzerland 0, Spain 1. This time Sommer takes his time with the ball and chips it over the top, but that's straight to Simon. Here is Pau Torres over the halfway line. Switzerland just dropping back two banks of players, but there's not much of a gap between them, but they're just allowing a lot of ground for Spain to gallop into. Of course, they're 10 men right now, and it looks like I can see Switzerland warming up a sub down just at the bottom as we take a look, and the cross comes in from the right-hand side for Spain. That's been dealt with though, and Seferovic has a little bit of a run, tries to get back on the ball. He's done really well there, and he did get the ball away. An opportunity then down the left-hand side for Zuba, and then Rodriguez does well and wins good ball. Shaqiri, magic from him, he sticks a leg out looking for Seferovic into the box, but I think he was offside anyway, and he got one foot to it, but I'm not sure the flag did go up, but I wonder if he timed it right. Anyway, he couldn't get what he wanted out of that.
No, it's a bit more positive from Switzerland. We haven't seen a great deal of that from them. Shaqiri, as we mentioned in the opening couple of minutes, and that's probably the next closest they've come to carving out a chance. I suppose their game plan doesn't change massively at the moment, does it? The fact that they've conceded 1 goal. Maybe they would have liked to have kept it goalless for as long as possible and nicked something, but if they were going to do it in normal time, they were always going to have to score, so they'll keep this defensive shape as the game goes on. That's when they become more expansive. But this doesn't look good news for Switzerland. Breel set to go off.
Yep, Ruben Vargas set to come on. That's a blow, isn't it, for them? Anyway, that change back to be made. We'll have a little recap of what we've just seen in St. Petersburg. Switzerland trying to hit back. They haven't seen much of the ball, but seemingly with nothing on, the Spanish keeper Unai Simon offered them into the game, hesitated and was nearly undone. In that move we saw Breel Embolo injured, and he's had to be replaced by Ruben Vargas. Shaqiri put a nice little through ball in for Seferovic, so Switzerland are trying to get back into the game. It's still Spain dominating possession though.
Looks as though that goal has now been credited to Denis Zakaria. 1 goal for the man who came into the side today for Granit Xhaka. Always big boots to fill, and not the way he would have wanted to get the game going, but he's got to dust himself down and get on with things now. They're only 1 down, still a long time to go in this clash. Better to make that mistake early on than the final minute and not really give your side much opportunity to turn things around. Jan Sommer with a pull out to the right hand side. He's just overcooked that one a little bit, into touch for a Spanish throw. They're happy just to roll it into defence and take their time to begin creeping up the field. On the left hand side with Pau Torres, finding Jordi Alba, back to Torres, and a little bit of shuffling going on between the Spanish players further up the field. They will retreat though to the goalkeeper Unai Simon. Back out to Torres, who's got his head up looking for options. Petri is one of them. He finds a cute little ball into midfield for Koke. Sprayed out to the right hand side. An opportunity now to swing the delivery in. A good looking ball put behind for the corner by Nico Elvede. As though it was Alvaro Morata who was just lurking in behind there, looking to latch on to the delivery from Torres. Elvede had to get that one right. It's off the shin, but that will do. Anyway, we'll do well.
I think Ferran Torres has had a cracking start to the game so far. He's sort of playing an inside right, and he's doing a real good job. He's put some pretty good ball in, and that was an ace away from finding Morata, and I dare say from that range he'd put it in the back of the net. So a corner for Spain, an opportunity then as the ball comes deep, and there's a header, and it's a good save by Jan Sommer. And that was Azpilicueta, I think, who has scored with his head before in the tournament, so no surprise about him creeping into the box there, and clearly fancies his chances, Bobby.
Yeah, he's one of the veterans in this Spain side now, isn't he, alongside Sergio Busquets and Jordi Alba. Been there for a while and got the experience to bring to some of the youngsters that have made their way through over recent years, but he's still a fantastic player, isn't he? And we've seen at Chelsea, defensively he's strong and solid, but does give you something in the final third as well, especially when he's playing at wing back, not in that role today, but forwards of course for the corner. You wonder if it would have stood, just looking back at the replay, and there might have been a bit of a nudge in the back of Manuel Akanji. He ended up on the deck, and that's what made it a free header for Azpilicueta, who managed to find the target, but Sommer was across to catch it.
It didn't look that obvious that he was shoving the back. I mean, there was a little bit of contact, wasn't there? And Akanji sort of diving out the way, but I'm not sure that wouldn't have stood, you know. Seemed very light, and Akanji was sort of hoping for the best, the Borussia Dortmund centre-back. Anyway, the ball with Spain again, down the left-hand side with Sarabia. Cuts onto his right, little flick ball through, looking to find Morata, but he's overcooked that one, and it goes straight through to Jan Sommer. Halfway through the first half, then Switzerland 0, Spain 1. You're listening to Independent Off-Tube Studio Commentary, Euro 2020. And, well, this game, despite the goal, is sort of... it's been a good tempo, and I think it's... when you play knockout football, it's a very different animal, isn't it? Some of the group stage games are a little bit stodgy, but you absolutely know there's something on this game.
Exactly that. I mean, the early goal, as we say, makes it more exciting from a neutral point of view, but it doesn't massively change things in this opening period of the game. But the longer we go on with Spain having an advantage, it's really going to start to open up then, as Switzerland have to become braver and a little bit more courageous. There's no doubt the game's panning out, I think, as most people would have predicted. Spain dominating possession, stroking it around and just looking to keep things ticking over. I think the only disappointment so far for me in terms of Spain is they probably haven't got Morata involved enough. We saw that one move down the left-hand side when he won the free kick on the edge of the box. Aside from that, he's not been heavily involved. They've tried to put a few crosses in his direction, but Switzerland have defended them well enough. And maybe as the game develops, he might become more influential. Another injury concern here is that Sarabia, who's now down on the floor after a bit of a coming together. Spanish fans in good voice watching on.
Yep. And if that's the guy who's been doing it for donkey's years for Spain, he's called Manolo, isn't he? Who beats the drum for them. Anyway.
That tempo going.
Yeah. I don't know if that was a foul. I just thought it was a coming together. Sarabia caught there by the toe end of Rodriguez, but no big deal. And Michael Oliver looks as assured as anybody I've seen refereeing. The Spanish referee at the ton, it's Matthew Lahoz, isn't it? I can't stand him.
I knew that was going to be the next word out of your mouth.
Anyway, Michael Oliver's kept it fairly low-key, but so far there's not been much spite in the game. Shaqiri tries to turn it around the corner for Seferovic. Zakaria in the middle of the park just chest that down, but he's certainly not doing quite as well as Granit Xhaka did against the French. As Elvedi tries to get across Ferran Torres down the left-hand side, trying to cut onto his right, but that ball came off his knee and it's gone out for a Switzerland throw.
Yeah, good defending from Elvedi, stayed with his man and timed his tackle perfectly, really. That little shade of luck, I suppose, that it bounces off Torres and gives Switzerland the throw rather than having to set back up defensively. But they just need a period, don't they, where they get the foot on the ball, Switzerland, that they're not going to be able to monopolise it or dominate like Spain have done for large periods, but they're just a couple of minutes to try and settle into the game, ease a bit of the pressure that's been growing on their defenders, because it is wave after wave. I know they've stood up strongly enough to it. In terms of open play, Spain probably haven't threatened too greatly, but yeah, here comes Switzerland now.
Yeah, lovely bit of magic then by Shaqiri, and down the left he releases Zuba, goes back to Rodriguez and then into the middle of the park for Freuler, Remo Freuler from Atalanta, who are having a brilliant time in Serie A, getting a standing dish in Europe, but they can't work anything down that short left hand side, so the ball goes back to Zakaria in the middle. And he goes further back to Akanji, and then Elvedi over the halfway line. That's a poor ball. Spain back on it, then little heel from Torres to Alba, and then across the back four. Yeah, I would say that Luis Enrique's team made slightly the better start, but there wouldn't be much in it. Obviously they've got the goal, but that was off a deflected shot. BBC still happy to give it to Alba, I note, but we think it's probably going to go down as an own goal anyway. Zakaria's touch took it away from Sommer, and nothing he could do. He was diving to the left, ball deflected right. Yeah, Spain had played a couple of their group games in Seville, where even if you start at 8 o'clock at night, you're guaranteed it to be really hot, too hot. And I thought that was always going to sort of play into their strengths a little bit under Enrique, all that keep ball. For me in the tournament and last time as well, I thought they were dominating the game against Croatia. They were proving to be good, and then seemingly they thought they got the game won, and it was a bit like, oh well, let's defend for a while, and unless they're playing their formation and doing things properly, they don't look like a team who can sit back on it, Bobby.
No, they don't. He's got a bit of an untested back line, really, when you think Aymeric Laporte only recently converted his nationality, as it were, to Spain, having been snubbed by his homeland of France so long, he decided to switch allegiance. You've got Eric Garcia, who's recently come through, of course now Sergio Ramos in the squad, so they're sort of trying to work out what that backline's all about at the moment, really. The full-backs in Alba and Azpilicueta are well experienced, but centrally he's still trying to get to grips with it, so I don't think that's their strong point. You do wonder how they'll cope when they come up, if they get through to the next round against Belgium or Italy, and they're going to have some top quality players, some real good attack to deal with. I think from an English point of view, it'll be good to see them all battle it out on that side of the draw, won't it, and see what comes of it later on, and see if England can go and get their way through to the final.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's going to be based on possession and how much ball you can get. Not really been England's problem, has it? They've always been at least level in terms of possession, but back in the day I always used to think we weren't quite technically up to it, but Premier League has picked everybody up by their bootstraps, and the England players are pretty good at keep ball now. Here's Ferran Torres again, edge of the area, trying to make a break there, and was waiting to get caught. He does go down. Michael Oliver's not buying that, and neither am I really. Holding his head, but
some really cute play from Pedri again in the build-up to that one. He looked back heel to Torres as he looped around on the inside channel. Been really impressed with him in this competition, Pedri in particular. He sort of floats about in different positions, so hard to pick up.
Seferovic ball ricochets into the box. A chance for Widmer to get the cut back in. That's better from Switzerland. Some attacking stuff, and Seferovic did pretty well there. I think he's looking for a strike, but he had his shot blocked, and Widmer just kept on going, and Albers had to block that one away for a corner. Shaqiri's playing ever so well today. Little touches, you just wonder, can he keep it up for 90 minutes? It would be important for him to do that, as the ball comes in, and a header over the top from Akanji. That wasn't too far away, Bobby.
That's a really good delivery from Shaqiri. Puts it in with pace, not a great deal of bend on it. It's very direct, and Akanji coming in on the edge of the 6-yard box just gets in between two defenders. He's in front of Aymeric Laporte, but it was just slightly too high for him to be able to get over the top and really have that control on it to head down at the target. But that's a warning for Spain, and I think why Luis Enrique maybe had set his side out to try and get their goals early, because they want that breathing space, that if they do ship one today, they're not going to get nervous, they're not going to start crumbling under any pressure. As Switzerland proved against France, they can come back into games.
Yeah, and for Switzerland, they showed a lot of character, didn't they? Because, I mean, I thought after they grabbed their first goal and then had a penalty, you thought, oh, well, there you go. And, of course, they didn't take the opportunity. Ricardo Rodriguez, before you know it, they're 2-1 down and seemingly staring down the barrels, but they didn't, and they came back. And that 3-3 draw bought them a ticket to the penalty shootout. And in the end, there were 9 good penalties and just one bad one from Kylian Mbappe. And like I said, he just looked... I felt really sorry for him, actually. It doesn't matter what price tag you've got. He just a lad walking up to a ball who'd not scored in the tournament, and he just had that hangdog look about him. I just thought, he's not going to score, and he didn't.
Got a bit of a reputation as well, Jan Sommer, for saving penalties. Switzerland, when I say they, had taken on Spain in the Nations League at the back end of 2020 and saved 2 Sergio Ramos penalties in one game in that, as the two nations played out a 1-1 draw. So he's no stranger to keeping them out, and proving the hero that time around as he stopped Mbappe to, as you say, get Switzerland through to this game.
Yeah, Spain are one of the few teams England have beaten in a penalty duke out in tournament football, and I don't know, technically you'd always just think, oh yeah, they're bound to be good, but it doesn't really work like that. Anyway, here they come through the middle now, Spain, but that's a terrible toe-ended ball from Jordi Alba. Ooh, they're all about technique, just toe bungs that straight out. But these things happen. 37 minutes gone, Switzerland 0, Spain 1. Had we not got the goal, we'd be saying that it's a real slow burner, this game. Actually, there's not a lot going on, Bobby.
There's not, and it took me a while to realise that Spain haven't actually done much in open play, have they? I think that the start was quite bright from them, that they were on the front foot and they got that goal. Zakaria put it into the back of his own net, but they haven't really tested Sommer apart from that. There have been a couple of crosses, that the one from Elvedi springs to mind, where it was sort of last ditch and he had to get there to prevent Morata from just coming in behind him. But aside from that, Spain haven't been able to get it towards goal, and that was the issue they had in their opening couple of games against Sweden and against Poland. They just weren't turning possession into clear-cut chances, as you mentioned, despite being on home soil in sort of familiar surroundings at La Cartuja in Seville. And Switzerland, I think, if they can get in at half-time here, just a goal down, they'll be happy enough with how they've coped in this first half. Defensively, they've been organised, they've been disciplined, and they'll feel that they've got a chance of fighting their way back. That belief will be there. Just going back to the performance against France, they'll know that they've got the ability to fight back, the character to find a foothold in this game, and hope will stay with them throughout.
Yeah, some of them able to take a long clearance. They just won a free kick there. Morata just toe tapping Akanji, ball into the middle, and Rodriguez goes central to go win the ball. The ball back with Jan Sommer as ever closed down, and his clearance then to Zuber. Well, he takes it on his chest, but he's under pressure from Azpilicueta. There is a man free though, that's Akanji, and then another man free out the right hand side is Vidmer, who pokes the ball forward. This is much better then, and it's the new man off the bench, Ruben Vargas. Vidmer with the cross, and Alba blocks it away, and he's furious with his colleagues there. And there's actually some really good movement there from Switzerland, and for once it was Spain that was static really and didn't pick the runners up, Bobby.
Yeah, we just spoke about getting more courageous as the game goes on, and they certainly showed it there. Players getting forward, the wing backs getting into the final third, good runs off the ball into space, dragging the Spanish defenders out of position.
Anyway, the corner kick comes in, up go the heads, but well, I think that's headed over. I think it was Vidmer who got in there, but he was always under pressure there, and in the end he couldn't quite get what he wanted out of that. Who's that jumping with him? Well, Ferran Torres is keeping him honest. He's probably no match for him, but in the end, you know, you probably got to take your half chances as well. But that wasn't on the target, and Unai Simon hasn't had an awful lot to do at St. Petersburg. It's still Switzerland 0, Spain 1. And there's not much going on in the first half, really. Spain playing a little bit of keep ball, kind of killing the game. We did see a good cross from the right-hand side when Elvedi got the better of Morata, and then Azpilicueta has had a header from a corner saved by Jan Sommer. For Switzerland, Shaqiri's playing well. He put a good corner in to find Akanji, but his header went over, and we've just seen Vidmer miss the target with his header too.
Spain trying to build down the field now on the left-hand side, but it's good defensive work. Stepping in with the toe is Sylvain Vidmer. Manages to put it into touch and stem the Spanish attack momentarily. Jordi Alba to take that resulting throw with a few of his white-shirted teammates making runs around him. One of those is Pedri, who goes down and appeals to referee Michael Oliver. He was fouled, but the game will go on, and now Shaqiri clips one over the top. I'm pretty certain here that the flag will eventually go up. The Switzerland are into the box. There's a challenge in from Laporte. It's into the hands of Simon, and inevitably that flag does go up, so wouldn't have counted. The ball was delayed far too much by Xherdan Shaqiri. He's got the ability to pick those passes, just needed to execute it a little bit sooner. It was Steven Zuber actually who had come in from that left-hand side in his wing-back role more centrally to add an extra body in the middle. Looking at that instant involving Pedri, and there was a bit of a nudge in the back. Might well have been caught down at the bottom, lower end of his back, and it would have been a sore one, but I don't think there was a great deal in it.
No, there wasn't really, was there? My only thoughts there was, why did Zuber bother going on when he knew he was offside by 5 yards, didn't he? And then he was holding somebody off, and he went down for a penalty. And he thought, well, you know you're offside, mate. Vargas flicks the ball the outstep, but well, Shaqiri caught so much is there, and don't know what he's asking of Vargas, but the Swiss guys were getting to get each other's nerves. Here's Busquets. He hasn't seen much of the ball. It's a good ball out to Sarabia, left-hand side. He puts an early ball in, but it's too close to the goalkeeper. Morata, I think, should have been busting a gut to get there near post. maybe it wasn't that good a crossing in the first place, but anyway, another sort of half chance goes a begging, and I think maybe because Spain are a goal up, they're just a shade off it for me.
Yeah, maybe haven't quite got that hunger and motivation we saw in the opening stages when they pressed on hard and managed to get that goal. And I think Switzerland deserve a bit of credit as well. We spoke about earlier that Spain are keeping bodies up the field, they're shuffling across, they're trying to force mistakes. Switzerland still being brave and wanting to play out from the back. They've just given away possession here as it was clipped down the line towards Shaqiri, but they've not really put themselves in too much bother when they've been trying to play out from Sommer and through that back line. Of course, the game goes on, they may well find themselves stumbling into trouble, but so far so good in terms of that.
Well, anyway, what the stats tell us is that there have been 4 efforts from Switzerland and not one on target. You know what, if you're Spain, you think, well, we've created a couple of chances, obviously a bit of luck with the goal, we've done a bit more, we've dominated play, and our keeper, despite nearly bringing trouble onto himself, has actually had nothing to do. And so I guess it would be fitting and right that Spain have the lead at the break, but anyway, they're back on the ball now, and so just wait to see if they can produce any other bit of magic before the break. Can Switzerland get back on the ball? Well, looks like Switzerland have won a throw-in down the left-hand side, which Rodriguez will take. Seferovic is looking for the ball, and he gets it, turns it around the corner, but not to one of his teammates. Needs to do just a little bit better. According to UEFA.com, Zakaria is getting the goal rather than Jordi Alba. So does that mean Jordi Alba gets an assist then for his effort, which puts the nose of Koke out of joint, who thought he had an assist anyway. They won't care, will they? And good point well made about Koke. Another really good season for him. And if you're one of the few tried and trusted for Atletico and Simeone, you must have something about you. But again, he does a lot of donkey work, I think, in the middle, does Koke. You know, they do work hard at Atletico de Madrid. Anyway, Rodriguez now on the ball, but he goes back to Elvedi, and they're struggling to get over the halfway line right now. Elvedi forced to go backwards, a good chase by Pedri. And like we said right from the get-go, they're just working a little bit harder, I fancy, in the circumstance, and maybe that's because they can cope with the temperature a little bit more comfortably. I say that half the Switzerland team play in Germany, and I don't suppose that's well known for being that hot, is it? Seferovic in Benfica, Rodriguez at Torino, and Remo Freuler at Atalanta. So they're spread across Europe in some pretty good clubs. Azpilicueta went right through the back of Steven Zuber, the Frankfurt man there, and he's had a talking to from Michael Oliver, but no card, I don't think.
Yeah, seems to be shrugging the shoulders, Azpilicueta, as if he believe he'd done much wrong in terms of giving away the free kick, but he'll have a good enough relationship, I think, with Michael Oliver, who's been around the Premier League long enough, and goes to debating the situation as Switzerland don't make best use of that free kick in the end.
No, we're into a minute of added time. There was a bit of a stoppage, but or it looked like something was going on with Breel Embolo, who got taken off. I didn't see a stretcher, but he actually was off the field of play when he picked up his injury, so that didn't take too long. Ruben Vargas has come in, but he doesn't seem to pose the threat that Embolo does anymore. And then Zakaria, has been a good replacement for Granit Xhaka, who was superb last time around, but always has been a candidate for yellow cards. And no surprise that he's out suspended. Anyway, referee has seen enough. And so at the break, it is Switzerland 0, Spain 1. At St. Petersburg Stadium in the quarter-final of Euro 2020. It's Spain who have the slight advantage, just 1 goal between them. You thought it was Jordi Alba had scored, the ball taking a wicked deflection off Denis Zakaria, but in fact his shot must have been off target because it was credited as an own goal for Switzerland. They've huffed and puffed and tried to break down the field, but they haven't had a shot on target yet. And Unai Simon has had very little to do in the space.